Hello friends, myself Rinki Singh, Assistant Professor in the Department of BCA. I'm at Ghaziabad University Courses Campus. Today's topic is friend function. As we all know, in C++ we have different access specifier in a class. They can be private, protected and public. For example, we have a class, our data members and member functions can be private, public or protected depending upon the need. As we know that the private data member can't be accessed outside the class. Our public members, either that is data members or member functions, can be accessed outside the class. Our protected members can be accessed by the member functions of the class and the functions of the class inherited from that class. As the private data of a class can't be accessed outside the class, only the member functions of the class can access that data. If we want our private data to be accessed by a non-member function, then that function have to be the friend of that class. We can see that our private data of the class can be accessed either by the member function of the class or by the friend function of the class. Now the question is how to make a function friend of a particular class, or what is a friend function? A friend function of a class is defined outside the class, unlike the member function of the class, which can be defined inside the class or outside the class. Friend function is defined outside the class scope, but like member function, it has the right to access all private and protected members of the class. That is, member functions are defined inside the class or outside the class and has right to access all the private and protected data of the class, but the friend function is defined outside the class but still have the right to access all the private and protected members of the class. Only the declaration or prototype of a friend function appear in the class definition, but friends are not member functions. Declaration of a friend function looks like we write class name, then inside the body of the class we write keyword friend, then return type, function name and arguments. Means after writing keyword friend, we simply write the header of the function. Now when we define the friend function outside the class, we don't need to write friend keyword again. For example, we have a class with any class name. We make a function friend, the return type of the function, function name and the list of the arguments. Then after the class, we write normally return type, function name and the list of arguments. We don't need to write here the keyword friend again. Now simply like all other functions, we write the body of the friend function. This is an example. In this example, we have a class friend, class distance, which contains a private member meter and a public. In public, we have defined a constructor distance, which is defining the objects of the class to 0 value. Then we define a friend function add5, which have a return type int and receiving a distance means class type object. Now in the definition here, our class is closed. Then outside the class, we are defining the friend function, return type of friend function, name of the function add5 and the parameter of class type, parameter name is d. Now through this object D of class distance, we are accessing the private member, that is meter, class, and adding 5 to it. Then we are returning d dot meter. D dot meter means we are returning an integer type value. In the main function, we have declared an object of distance class and we are calling this friend function add 5. Now we can see that add 5 is not a member function of this class. Still, it is accessing the private data, that is meter, of the class distance. Now, one more scenario where friend function can be used is if we want to define a function which is accessing the objects of two different classes, or which is accessing the data of two different classes, mainly private data. Then it can be a member function of one class and friend of another. Here is an example. We have two classes, class B, class A. We are defining class A here and we have given the forward declaration of class B. Class A contains a private member, num A, and a friend function add. The add function is receiving as an argument two objects, both one of class A and one of class B. Now in class B, again, it's the class B have data member num B, then it contains a friend function named add, which is containing A and B objects of class A and B. Then we are declaring friend function inside both the class and then defining the object function add function with object A of class A and object B of class B, and returning num A and num B, addition of num A and num B, where num A is the private member of class A and num B is the private member of class B. That means our add function is accessing the private members of both the classes num A and num B, which is not visible without making it the friend of both the classes. In main function, we are declaring objects of class A and B, and through these objects we are calling function add, and it will return the sum of both the private data of this class. Now, here we are demonstrating how the friend function can access the data of different classes. Class X have private data or function. It contains protected data or function. It has three friend functions. It contains a class Y as a friend. If a class is a friend of another class, that means all the functions of that class can access the private and public data, private and protected data of that particular class. Now here, the class Y is the friend of class X. That means all the functions of class Y can access the private and protected data of class X. It contains one more friend function, function 1. Function 1 is a normal function. Now the function 1 can also access the private and protected data of class X. fz1 is also a friend function of class X, which is a member function of class Z. That means fz1, which is the member function of class Z, can also access the private and protected data of class X because it's the friend of class X. Thank you.